Ali, 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 yeah. I praise Allah for these lessons. I'm striving to be the message, and I thank Allah for his blessings. Ali was the circle 7. I praise Allah for these lessons. I'm striving to be the message, and I thank Allah for his blessings. Ali was the circle 7. I praise Allah for these lessons. I'm striving to be the message, and I thank Allah for his blessings. Ali was the circle 7. I praise Allah for these lessons. I'm striving to be the message, and I thank Allah for his blessings. Ali was the circle 7. I praise Allah for these lessons. I'm striving to be the message, and I thank Allah for his blessings. Ali was the circle 7. I praise Allah for these lessons. I'm striving to be the message, and I thank Allah for his blessings. Ali was the circle 7.
Islam. We want to welcome everyone to a Moorish Perspective sponsored by our Moorish American government. At this time, we want to call to the floor our National Assistant Grand Sheikh of Moorish America, Dr. Shedawa Menti El Mohamed Shepsuel, to open our meeting according to law. Islam. Unmuted.
Islam, can you hear me, Grand National Secretary of State?
Yes, sir. Loud and clear.
Gratitude. Islamism without the schism. Islam, Moorish America, want to rise upon the 7 within the circle of justice, mercy, love, and right, and give all praises to the great God Allah, Father God Allah, and honors to his holy prophet, honors to our holy prophet, Noble Drew Ali, Al-Hajj Sharif Abdul Ali, that is. We give honors to our Moorish kin once again, here, there, and everywhere, and therefore honors to all of you who are continuously honoring yourselves by being yourselves. But let us come forth, and as we come forth, we ask that you open up your hearts and minds as we open up the way with our ancient committee and adept Moorish American prayer. Ya Allah abnu heru makunetru, Ya Allah abhet heru, Ya Allah ma'at heru, Ya Allah hotep heru, Ya Allah heru, Ya Allah ma'at herakuti, Ya Allah ahwajeta juti, Ya Allah per im sutek per im heru, Ya Allah bamaduti, al-hajat shepsis rab to Ali. Amen. Khaliyas, Khaliyas, Khaliyas. And that is the same Moorish kin in transliteration. O Allah, the Father of the universe. O Allah, the Father of love. O Allah, the Spirit of truth. O Allah, the Spirit of peace. O Allah, the Spirit of freedom. O Allah, the Spirit of justice. O Allah, you are my protector. O Allah, you are my guide. O Allah, you are my salvation by night and by day. O Allah, through your holy prophet, O Allah, Drew Ali. Amen. Oliyissa, Oliyissa, Oliyissa. Islam, Moorish kin. And now we come forth before you with the divine constitution of Moorish America, salvation, our God, unity. the 7 supreme constitutional acts of law. Act 1. The Grand Sheik and the Chairman of Moorish America empowered to make law and enforce laws with the assistance of the Prophet and the Grand Body of Moorish America. The Assistant Grand Sheik is to assist the Grand Sheik in all affairs, if he lives according to love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice, and it is known before the citizens of Moorish America. The Bylaws, Act 2. All meetings are to be open and closed promptly, according to the Circle 7 and love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice. Friday is our holy day of rest, because on a Friday the first man was formed in flesh. On a Friday the first man departed out of flesh and ascended unto his Father God Allah. For that cause, Friday is the holy day for all Muslims all over the world. Act 3. Love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice must be proclaimed and practiced by all citizens of Moorish America. No citizen is to put in danger or accuse falsely his brother or sister on any occasion at all that may harm his brother or sister, because Allah is love. Act 4. All citizens must preserve these holy and divine laws, and all citizens must obey the laws of the government, because by being a Moorish American, you're part and parcel of the government and must live the life accordingly. Act 5. No organization of Moorish America to cause any confusion or to overthrow the laws and constitution of the said government, but to obey hereby. Act 6. With us, all citizens must proclaim their nationality, and we are teaching our people their nationality and their divine creed, that they may know that they are part and parcel of this said government, and know that they are not Negroes, colored folks, black people, or Ethiopians, because these names were given to slaves by slave holders in 1779 and lasted until 1865 during the time of slavery. But this is a new era of time now, and all men now must proclaim their free national name to be recognized by the government in which they live in the nations of the earth. This is the reason why Allah, the great God of the universe, ordained noble Drew Ali, the prophet, to redeem his people from their sinful ways. The Moorish Americans are the descendants of the ancient Moabites whom inhabited the northwestern and southwestern shores of Africa. Act 7. All citizens must promptly attend their meetings and become a part and a parcel of all uplifting acts of Moorish America. Moorish Americans must pay their dues and keep in line with all necessities of Moorish America, and then you're entitled to the name of faithful. Husband, you must support your wife and children. Wife, you must obey your husband and take care of your children and look after the duties of your household. Sons and daughters must obey father and mother and be industrious and become a part of the uplifting of fallen humanity. All Moorish Americans must keep their hearts and minds pure with love and their bodies clean with water. This divine covenant is from your holy prophet, noble Drew Ali, through the guidance of his Father God Allah. Prophet Noble Drew Ali, peace and blessings be upon him, founding father and framer of the divine constitution and bylaws of Moorish America. And now that this meeting has been opened according to the triune acts, Acts 1, 2, and 3 in love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice, we say Islam, Islam, Islamism. The providence of Allah is ever all his works. He ruleth and directed with infinite wisdom. He hath instituted laws for the government of the world. He hath wonderfully varied them in all beings, and each by his nature conformeth to his will. Shemotepu Morshkin. Peace and love.
Islam, Islam, Islam. Much gratitude and honor to our National Assistant Grand Sheik of Moorish America, Dr. Shadu Amenti Al-Muhajjid for opening our meeting according to law. This is Dr. Hatshepsut Tutankhamun Bey, National Grand Secretary of State. First of all, I want to rise, giving all praises to our Father God Allah, giving honor to our Prophet Noble Drew Ali, the last prophet in these days and times, giving honor to our class for this evening, giving honor to each and every one of you. Chapter 3, Elihu's lessons, the unity of life. Again, Elihu met his pupils in the sacred grove and said, "No man lives unto himself, for every living thing is bound by cords to every other living thing. Blessed are the pure in heart, for they will love and not demand love in return. They will not do to other men what they would not have other men do unto them. There are two selves, the higher and lower self. The higher self is human spirit clothed with soul, made in the form of a lot. The lower self, the carnal self, the body of desires, is a reflection of higher self, distorted by the murky ethers of the flesh. The lower self is an illusion and will pass away. The higher self is a law in man and will not pass away. The higher self is the embodiment of truth. The lower self is truth reversed, and so is falsehood manifest. The higher self is justice, mercy, love, and right. The lower self is what the higher self is not. The lower self breeds hatred, slander, lewdness, murder, theft, and everything that harms. The higher self is mother of the virtues and the harmonies of life. The lower self is rich in promises, but poor in blessedness and peace. It offers pleasure, joy, and satisfying gain, but gives unrest, misery, and death. It gives men apples that are lovely to the eye and pleasant to the smell. Their cords are full of bitterness and gall. If you would ask me what to study, I would say yourselves, and you well have studied them. And then would ask me what to study next, I would reply, yourselves. He who knows well his lower self knows the illusions of the world, knows of the things that pass away. And he who knows his higher self knows the law, knows well the things that cannot pass away. Thrice blessed is the man who has made purity and love his very own. He has been ransomed from the perils of the lower self, and is himself his higher self. Men seek salvation from an evil that deems a living monster of the netherworld, and they have gods that are but demons in disguise, all powerful yet full of jealousy and hate and lust, whose favors must be bought with costly sacrifice of fruit and of the lives of birds and animals and humankind. And yet these gods possess no ears to hear, no eyes to see, no heart to sympathize, no power to save. This evil is a myth. These gods are made of air and clothed with the shadow of a thought. The only devil from which man must be redeemed is self, the lower self. If man would find his devil, he must look within. His name is self. If man would find his savior, he must look within. And when the demon self has been dethroned, the savior love will be exalted to the throne of power. The David of the light is purity, who slays the strong Goliath of the dark and seeks the savior love upon the throne. Islam, Islam, Islam. Today is Saturday, June 22nd, 2024. We want to welcome everyone to a Moorish Perspective sponsored by our Moorish American government. Much gratitude and honor to our National Assistant Grand Sheikh of Moorish America, Dr. Shadow Amenti and Mohedded Shepsuel, for opening our meeting according to law. Also to our National Grand Secretary of State, Dr. Hatshepsut Tutukalambe, for taking registration and reading our subject chapter for the week. Our host instructor is our National Assistant Grand Sheikh of Moorish America, Dr. Shadow Amenti and Mohedded Shepsuel. Our subject matter is coming from Chapter 3, Ayats 5 and 6. There are two selves, the higher and lower self. The higher self is human spirit, clothed with soul, made in the form of a law. Also, Moorish, check your emails for the link to our class online. And at this time, Moorish, without further delay, we want to call to the floor our National Assistant Grand Sheikh of Moorish America, Dr. Shadow Amenti and Mohedded Shepsuel.
Islamism without the schism. Can you hear me, Grand National Secretary of the State?
Yes, sir. Loud and clear.
Praise be to Allah. That means Moorish America can hear us. So Islam, Moorish America, on a rise upon the seven within the circle of justice, mercy, love, and right, and give all praises to the great God, Allah, our Father God, Allah, and honors to his holy prophet, honors to our holy prophet, Noble Drew Ali, El-Hajj Sharif Abdul Ali, that is. We give honors to our Moorish kin once again, here, there, and everywhere, and therefore honors to all of you who are continuously honoring yourselves by being yourselves. We give honors to our Grand National Seal. We give honors to our Grand National Emblem, National Flag, Divine Constitution, and bylaws, and honors to all of you who are indeed a living manifestation and personification of everything. And I do mean everything that our Holy Prophet brought to make us a nation. I want to welcome you to another Moorish Perspectives. And I'm your host instructor, Dr. Shahid Imani Al-Mohadi Shabazz El. My ancient comedian high name being the same as Dr. Shedwa Mentio Muhajjid Shepsuel. And we say all praise be to the great God Allah, Islamism without the schism. We have a grand drawing to bring on the manifest this morning, or rather evening, pardon self. I'm still in the morning. So we want to bring a grand drawing to our family in regards to dealing with this Moorish Perspectives. And it's going to be a powerful drawing, family. So have your paper and your pen on handy. I'm actually trying to get these links out here in the midst of the measure. So bear with me. I also want to put our banner on the bottom of the screen so our people know what our subject matter is related to. We coming from chapter 3 in our Moorish Holy Quran. So I think that'll be good to drop that last link right there. And family, if you are here for the first time, be sure to hit that like, share, and subscribe to the channel. And also get the likes up, so to speak. Share this video, this broadcast that we have, because it's going to be a very powerful broadcast. If you're looking for more science, as it has been taught by our holy prophet, then you're in the right place. And so we have a grand drawing to bring on the manifest. I want to get this banner down here, and we're going to move forward from there. And we just say gratitude to all of you, everyone that's showing up, and being faithful. And you can tell by the backdrop, what we're going to be dealing with, so to speak. This is going to be a very powerful demonstration, like I said. So most definitely tune in to your divinity, so that you can draw from this divine frequency that we have to bring forth here. And again, we'll be coming from chapter 3 in our Moorish Holy Quran. And let me drop this in here, and I'll give you our actual subject title as it relates to the ayat that we'll be drawing from. We actually be drawing from, a combination of ayats. It's really 2 of them. But I'm going to see if I can fit all of this particular measure up here in this banner that I put here. So bear with me. Just give me a second. And we're going to tune in here. Move all the things. Let's see. Okay, yeah. So we'll be able to put this up here and have everything up here. And even though we didn't go this far in our title, we'll touch on it from that way. So, it actually is dealing with ayat 5 and 6, is what we're drawing from. But you will see 7 also a part and partial of it, to complete the measure as it relates to the subject title that we're dealing with tonight. And we are harping upon the measure. There are 2 selves, the higher and the lower self. And the higher self is the human spirit clothed with soul made in the form of Allah. Because we are more concerned with the higher self. This is why we stopped at these 2 ayats. However, you see it also in there where we speak of the lower self, the carnal self, the body of desires is a reflection of the higher self, distorted by the murky ethers of the flesh. And we'll touch on that somewhat, but we're mostly dealing with the higher self as it relates to the two selves. The higher self, again, is human spirit, clothed with soul, made in the form of Allah. And so in order for us to understand this, especially those who think that they come from an orthodox background, in order for ones to get a drawing on this, they're going to have to think a cut above what they have been told and what they have been taught. They're going to have to think a cut above, what they think is the truth, and they're going to have to be the truth in order to get this, or, just being here on the manifest, listening to this, you definitely can't be thinking in the mindset of God's outside of yourself. So we have a powerful drawing to bring to the manifest, and just dealing with the concept of the self and the higher self, is one good place to begin. We got a lot of ground to cover in a short period of time, because this is ancient wisdom, and masterminds are able to trace themselves back, and thus they know. And we are all masterminds here. You see, when the student is ready, then the teacher will appear. And the student is within you as well as the teacher is within you. Little do we know. The student within you is listening to the teacher within you, and that teacher is the higher self. So we're going to go a little further into this in a minute, but we want to definitely touch on these things, the two selves. This is the most simplistic yet complex subject to address. We know that man in the flesh is truth and falsehood strangely mixed. Not that man, is full of falsehood, but just by virtue of us being in the flesh. When we say man, we're talking about Moorish American national. We're not dealing with agenda, because we're dealing with the genderless seed, so to speak. So when we go into the aspect of understanding that, this lesson is for all of us. It's not limited by gender. So again, the higher self and the lower self, as we deal with being in this flesh, has been a part and partial of our makeup. Because there are things in the world that cause us to strive for worldly things based upon worldly conditions. And then there's the essence, which causes us to strive for the things that are higher than the plane of things made manifest, the things that we see with our carnal eyes, materialism. And so we want to make this plain, and we want to make this plain so that our people can really see what it is that we stand for and what we represent as a people. We're not trying to push religiosity on you. We're dealing with what we call self-mastery. So all of these measures, anybody can come up in here, no matter what school of thought that they are part of, be they Orthodox Islam, be they NOI, be they 5%, be they Nation of Islam, be they Moorish American, be they Hebrew Israelites, be they Christians, whatever title, that you have, Nuwapian, we can go on and on. Even if you don't have a particular way of life, but you believe in the supreme reality, you believe in the way of our ancestors. If you in this particular measure here, in this vessel of truth that is moving upon the waters of knowledge, is most definitely part and self for you. So what I'm gonna do, I like to give our people clarity, because we speak of the higher self, and sometimes our people get confused when we talk about, the self, even when we deal with the concept of self-determination. So that in and of itself is a grand drawing, family, just to know who you are, to know yourself. In fact, it was our ancestors, our ancient ancestors, who taught that is special idiom, know thyself. And this has been taught throughout all cultures. We call it Sultanati or Shedunetta in proper. Know thyself. And Prophet Noble Ali went as far as to say, know thyself and thy Father God Allah. But out of all of the doctrines, even when I was just speaking a few minutes ago, all of those particular doctrines, we find that the master teachers taught, know thyself. So that's the universal lesson. And that's what we'll be touching on tonight when we go into this special drawing that we are dealing with when we talk about the unity of life. We must understand that when it comes to dealing with the unity of life, and we hear about what we call Tawheed, and Tawheed is said to be the oneness of Allah. This is the Arabic word for the oneness of Allah. And there are many words that branch off from that special oneness. Make no mistake about it. But that oneness is based upon what we call a deific tie in our Moorish paradigm. So our deific will being one with the will of the great God Allah, we call this, again, oneness, being in oneness. So that's the grand aspect that precludes, or the grand idea that precludes to monotheism, the worship of one God. Not just stating that God is one, but also knowing that through deific tie, that we have a connection to the great God in that oneness. You see? And this same teaching, whether you go into either one of the teachings we mentioned or any one of the holy books, you can go into the Piscean records. And the measure is, hear, O children of Israel, the Lord our God is one. We can go into the Quran, where it's stated, La ilaha illallah. There is no God but Allah. You see, we can go into Buddhism, Hinduism, Confucianism, and we can find that same oneness that has been taught throughout the annals of history. We can also go back to ancient Kemet, and we can see in the reflection, as you always hear me speak of, that Aten disk. And from that Aten disk, which is a sun disk with rays extending from that disk and having hands at the end of the disk, which is a very grand expression, as we like to say, a hand is symbolic to the mind. So wisdom is reaching out from the highest plane of spirit life. So the oneness has to do with the fact that the sun of knowledge, wisdom, and understanding shines upon all of creation. You see? So that's why each and every one of us have been given a path, just as the Grand Quran would say, to each one of us, we have been given a goal. And our goal is toward the great God, irregardless of where we come from. We come from the four corners of the globe, because the truth left, and it left from the center and spread out. So by very virtue of the message that became manifest, expanding in an outward expression, it was only right for those who received the message to return to the source from whence the message come, the center, so that all may become one. Because if you were looking at all of us, and I like to use this example as well, and let's just say that we were coming from the gateways, the four gateways, and we would use the pyramid as an example. And if we were looking at it from an aerial view, there will be 5 points that we will basically deal with. 4 of them that will lead to one. And if we had, for example, those who came through the teachings, of Judaism, those who came through the teachings of Islam, those who came through the teachings of Buddhism, the teachings of Judaism, and so forth and so on. And let's just say they came from those four corners and they begin to climb to the top. They would all meet up at the top, right? And if they had the truth and they were climbing to the top, then they would all meet up at the top with the truth that they possess, but they would meet at one point of oneness. And that's the goal, irregardless of what you say you believe. So for some reason, we have taken on acculturation. I'm gonna put it that way. We're taking on different people's culture, and we begin to see our culture through the eyes of other people. We see our culture through the eyes of everybody but our own eyes. And when there is those who have been raised up from amongst us within our midst, we often see conflict even in that. So we hope that after we demonstrate this measure, we can come closer to the Creator, irregardless of what we may call him. You see, because in all actuality, if you know language and you know linguistics, if you know the science of sound shifting, then you understand that the name Allah, for example, you find it in Hebrew before the Quran was ever revealed. Only difference is it was spelled A-H-L-A-H. And this actually goes back to the Kemetic word, because the word Allah, can even be traced back there, contrary to popular belief and what people want to tell you. We have a lot of atheistic minds amongst us now. In every community, we have those who have an atheistic mind, but yet they want to act as if they are Muslim. We have those who have an atheistic mind, but they want to act as if they are Christian. We have those who have an atheistic mind, but yet they want to act as if they are Buddhists. They want to act as if they are Hindu. They want to act as if they demonstrate Judaism. They want to act as if they demonstrate the teachings of ancient Kemet. But this is the spirit that has been made manifest amongst our people in this particular era and time. And we are here to show you the difference between the clean glass and the dirty glass. You see? So what we do with this is on us. Like I say, all are welcome. We are not here to demonstrate any type of intellectual bias. We're only here to demonstrate the truth. And like I said, whatever it is that you can take from the truth, then you take it and utilize it, in order to uplift yourself. But anytime that we teach here on this platform, we're going to always bridge the gap. Even though some of our people can be so sensitive to where they feel attacked by unity. Yeah, that's right. We got some of our people, they feel that if you speak the truth to them, telling them about unity, you are attacking them. And I know this by experience. I ain't going off what nobody told me. I've seen in many instances, under many different measures, to where you try to extend the idol, but you try to extend the olive branch to people. And then when you extend the olive branch, for some reason, they come up and they believe that you tried to attack them by what it was that you brought to them. So we got some grand drawing to bring to the Manifest family. And we hope, again, we can have your listening ear and really pay attention to this. And we're going to drop the link for anybody that would like to also come forth into this special measure. So be ready. And we willing to listen to all of our people, as long as we're in line with the subject matter, because that's the thing we have to get beyond too. If we're dealing with a specific subject matter, our people have to learn how to stick to the subject. Because all the time, and this is the reason why this is very important, because in most cases we see when one deviates from the subject matter, this is where the conflict come in at. Every time one deviate from the subject matter becomes convoluted. The subject matter then becomes argumentative or combative. And this is because one, is deviating from what has been spoken of. And in fact, this is when the egos get involved. So yeah, we got some very, very powerful measures, Moorish Ken, to bring on the manifest, and it's going to be a grand draw tonight. Like I said, we just want our family to come forth and demonstrate their particular measure. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to go here, because as I was speaking, I was actually going through a few drawings in relation to dealing with the higher self. And let me go into the Arabic. And a lot of people don't know the Arabic is very closely related to the Hebrew. And most of the time when you find an Arabic and a Hebrew word that relate to each other, it also go back to ancient Kemet, unfortunately. And that ain't unfortunately, it's actually fortunately, because ain't nothing bad about that. But I'm going to share my screen real quick, because we like to deal with documentation, and documentation beat conversation. So we're going to lay a foundation with some documentation. I'm going to share my entire screen so that I can navigate smoothly. So let me open up here. We already have our dictionary open. The one word that we can find, and this is not dealing with the self per se, but it's connected to the self as well. And this is actually dealing with an attribute. The same attribute that gave birth to the last name of our holy prophet, Noble Drew Ali. And you see it as Ale, which means to be high. This is actually the root from whence the attribute of the great God Allah, Al-Ali, derives, the most high. So Ale actually means to be high. It means to be elevated. It means to be lofty. Since we're talking about the higher self, why not talk about the attribute of the creator? Because it don't get no higher than that. Even though man has an higher self, it don't get no different and greater, than that which is in the essence of the divinity of one. When we say to be high, to be elevated, to be lofty, to be exalted, to ascend, to overcome, to be proud, be upon, be over, rise in rank or dignity. Say, in order to go into the higher self, you got to rise in rank. In fact, in the Grand Quran, it speaks of rising by degrees. Man is taught by degrees. So if you are rising, then you are most definitely going into the higher self, and you're not falling by climbing, right? So dignity, raise, to take up, mount, overtop. Ale, filal makarimi, which means he was raised in dignity. There's a measure in the Grand Quran where it states that Allah has created us in the best of the modes, in the highest, the elevated state. He created man. He didn't use the term Adam. He said al-insan. And al-insan in and of itself means man. So pardon self too, family. Let me make sure that I have this open wide enough for y'all to see it. Okay. Open this up. I want to make sure y'all see what we have here. Okay, so again, as we go on, it states also taluna is for taluna, the radical or wall being suppressed because of the quincient noon contained in the tashdid, being contrary to the rule to have two quincient letters together after the same vowel. Ulun, exaltation, insolence, pride, great height. So even though these things have to do with dignity, there can also be a pride there that's related to that. Now that can be a good thing and a bad thing based upon the degree of pride that we have. It can be pride, of being exalted. One can be prideful in the term of egotism, and we don't want to be that either. So it's a thin line, because sometimes people let it go to their head. But anyway, Alwan, ain't nothing wrong with letting truth go to your head, knowledge, wisdom, and understanding, but don't get too in too deep, so to speak, when it comes to dealing with exalting yourself. So Alwan, which means forcefully, Alina, Islam. And I hope that our family can hear us clearly. So that which is high or haughty, Ali Atun, lofty, right? Ali Atun. And lofty means upside. You often hear me speak of the lofty teachings, of our holy prophet. You often hear us talk about that, the lofty teachings of the prophet. But Ali Atun means lofty, it means upside. To Allah, we say Allah Ta'ala, may he be exalted above all they associate with him, far beyond and above, exalted, lofty. He came, Ta'al, come, Ta'alina, Alayna, which means come, you, Muta'al, exalted, high, Istalla, which means mount. It also means get up the upper hand. Aliyun, you can see closer going into that name of the Most High. And Aliyun actually deals with the realm of even the angelic hosts. You can hear that mentioned as well, but it says highest, lofty, illustrious, eminent. Here it is, Al-Ali, one of the excellent names of Allah. And I said it earlier, that's where the name Ali derives from. Aliyunna, the register of those enjoying the most exalted ranks. You see, we were speaking of that. And again, here we have Ale, overcome, have dominated. So in order for you to get into the high realm of vibration, you have to overcome things. You have to become dominant over those things that were ruling over you, such as your vices. You have to become one who is the Lord of the plane of soul and Lord of the plane of things made manifest by lording over your vices. So Aleu, Olu, they overcome, conquered. Latalu, which means exalt, not, don't rise up. Then we have Taluna, ye will surely become overbearing. Ta'ala, high above all. Estela, become uppermost. You see all these definitions just for one word. So this right here, family, is a prime example of when somebody chooses to translate something, and if this word is found in the text, the root of it, and they translate it a certain way, they got a whole lot to translate from by choice. And it's up to them what they choose to use, so to speak. So keep that in mind. It take all these words just to explain one root of a word that the great God Allah reveals. So what that tell you? It's still much wisdom to be learned, huh? Become uppermost, successful, alim, self-exalting one, tyrant, haughty, alian, self-exalted one, haughty. So you see most of the first definition with dealing with being exalted, but yet when we come into these, we can see a lot of this is dealing with the ego or haughty, aliyah, upside over. You see, what about being upside down? But anyway, self-exalted ones, upside over, make me think about inverted thought pattern. Those who are haughty, aliyatun, high, lofty, it goes back to the original definition, lofty ones. Ulia, supermost, powerful, because we hear about the super ego, that becomes strong in our Moorish Holy Quran. Prevailing, uluwan, great height, overbearing, the highest one of excellent names of Allah, the great Allah. So it don't get no higher than Allah. So when we say the higher self is the spirit clothed with soul made in the form of Allah, it makes sense now, right? So the great Allah, the most high, one of the excellent names of Allah. Aluna, overcoming ones, triumphant. To become triumphant, that means that you have to overcome some difficulty. Ilion, Iliena, the highest of the places register of those enjoying the most exalted ranks. It's seen, Eliatun, Muta'al, exalted, Ta'alhu, you come again. Come what? Come where? Ta'alaim, you woman come. And the root with its above form has been used in the Holy Quran about 86 times. So you will find equivalents of that even in the Hebrew if you do enough research of the name Ali or Ali. I know this for a fact. You see? So understanding this, family, when we deal with the concept, then we understand also how even when we deal with the definite article, al, which mostly connects to the great God, you know, why that comes into play as it does. But I want to go a little further because we have some powerful measures to bring forth from the treasures tonight. We're going to get down in there and go up through there. Let me make sure I ain't got nobody else. Trying to get in here. Okay, so there we go right there. So again, family, if this is your first time here, be sure to hit that like, share, and subscribe because we're getting ready to go into this special measure. Very deep measure. So remember, I draw it. This subject matter is most definitely dealing with the higher self, you know, being spirit clothed with soul, made in the form of Allah. So once you understand, you know, that the higher self is spirit clothed with soul, now we need to go into the definition of spirit. We need to go into the definition of self even before we get to spirit, though. So let us do this real quick. Not that portion, but it's actually here. This is what we are getting at on another level. And I'm going to just go there because I know what it is. Because this is what's referred to as the self in the Quran in most states. Okay, we're dealing with the soul, but there's one word here. There are many words in here that speaks on the soul. But I want to go directly to the main one. Okay. This is a good drawing here that's talking to Ilham is a powerful word because that word often comes up. Ilham actually deals with certain aspects of the soul because the soul is what we deal with duality at. The spirit isn't dealing with duality. The spirit is dealing with oneness. That's why we say the spirit is clothed with soul, because the duality, you know, in all actuality, it can be brought into a balance of oneness if the soul actions are united to spirit purpose. The spirit is more like the driver and the soul is like the vehicle. You see, so once you are able to unite the driver with the vehicle, like some of this modern technology they got coming out now, you know, a person can sit in a vehicle in certain technology and become attached to the vehicle and don't even need a steering wheel to drive it, so to speak. But nevertheless, a lot of our people end up driving under influence, becoming devils under influence, DUI, drunk in their own ignorance. But anyway, when we go into this special measure, Ilham, we want to deal with this definition first. And we're going to get to the main one that we're going to touch on. And then we're going to go into the spirit, because you got to know when you talk about spirit clothed with soul what we mean. And we say, call these not the soul, but the actions of the soul: thinking, willing, reason, understanding, remembrance. Keep that in mind as well. Ilham, right? It means to swallow, gulp down food. So in other words, this is showing an animal-like instinct, most definitely. Ilham. In intimation, quickly by the inspiration from the divine being. Revelation, it is through Ilham that the soul is made perfect. You see, this is more like conformity. When the soul actions begin to conform to the will, the deific will of spirit man. Through Ilham, the soul knows two ways. See what I'm talking about? That's the duality. The way of fujur, or the way of evil, and taqwa. You see, and taqwa in most cases means your mode, your symmetry, your constitution, to be upright. So either you're going to go toward the righteous way, or you going toward, the unrighteous way. So this is the duality that you have to deal with based upon the soul. It is the soul that experiences everything outside of the body once we leave the body. The spirit returns to the source. You see, but it is the soul that will experience certain measures. This is why we say Prophet Noble Drew Ali is still working from the plane of soul, because he told us this. You see, he better complete his mission from the plane of soul, because there the enemy can't hide. We were also told in chapter 1, spirit man was given a soul that he might function upon the plane of soul. And he was given a body of flesh that he might function upon the plane of things that are made manifest. So there's a purpose in regards to dealing with these droids. Some people confuse the two, and some people have no knowledge as to the function of the soul and the spirit. Though there's some relation, and that you can bring them into a ma'atic harmony of oneness, there is a degree of difference. So it goes on, it says, God has implanted in human beings' nature a feeling or sense of what is good and bad. So that's why you know right from wrong instinctively. You know this from just being brought into being, family. Ilham, right? Lahimma. Keep that in mind. Okay, that's one aspect. Let's go ahead and move forward. Down here in the same definition of the word, they actually touch on, hold on. This was actually lama, but this is actually dealing with to blame someone for something. Luamatun, to blame, reproof. One who finds faults. Lawama, this is actually one of the degrees of what we call the knobs. The anfusihum, the knobs represents the soul, and the soul has 3 degrees. It have more than that, but mainly you hear us talking about nafs amara, nafs lawama, and nafs mutmaina. 3 degrees. Nafs amara is bestiality. Nafs lawama is consciousness. Nafs mutmaina is felicity, right? So felicity would automatically be the higher self. This would be the garden. Heaven on earth, heaven as a thought pattern. This is felicity. This is the higher self, mutmaina, right? When the soul is at rest. But lawama is in between mutmaina, amara, and amara is the bestiality. Bestiality is the lower state. Lawama mostly deals with the blame of the self, because at this state, even though you may not be in felicity or in the heavenly state of thought, you have some consciousness that tell you, man, I know good and well I don't supposed to be in this position. I know good and well I don't supposed to be living like this. I know good and well I'm supposed to be acting this way. I know good and well I got to get it together. When you have thoughts like that, you're in a state of lawama. But when you get into a state and you move throughout life and you don't care what you do, they call that bestiality, or beast mode, if you want to call it that. You don't care whether you live or die. You don't care what the condition may be. You see what I'm saying? So lama, this is the aspect. It goes on. Listen to what it says. One who finds faults. Because you have to be able to bear witness to the faults within yourself in order to uplift the self. If you can't see where you're wrong at, then you're going to continue to go wrong. And you're going to become strong in going wrong. So anyway, it says one who is constantly blaming others or accusing himself. So you can either constantly blame others for your condition, or you can constantly beat yourself up based upon what it is that you go through until you go into a state of depression. Next thing you know, you might do the unthinkable. Mulum, which means blamed, deserving of blame. So that's something else, to be deserving of being blamed, right? That means you guilty, huh? Talawun, to blame one another. A lot of time we see our people blaming each other for the conditions that we come up under. You see what I'm saying? All of this is a part of the self-accusing state. But at least we know that something is wrong. So don't blame yourself just to blame yourself. Don't blame each other just to blame each other. Look for a solution. Because if there's a problem and you know there's a problem, then the only thing that's going to correct that is a solution to the problem. See, the issue with us is we like to emphasize more on the problem without having any solution, or not going forth to execute the solution. But anyway, it says blame you, you blame, la matun, blame laimun, one who blames others, la wamatun, self-reproaching. Now, somebody tell me, even if you believe in something else and you listening to us right now, what's wrong with this information? What's harmful, or threatening to you about this information right here? Answer that question. What is there in this information that we talk about right now that is harmful to you, about you knowing about the way yourself operates? Okay, so it says nafs lawamatun. Then it has the self-reproaching soul. It says at the doing of an evil deed, to the truth of a final resurrection. So do you have a self-reproaching state of consciousness when it comes to dealing with an evil deed, in the truth of resurrecting yourself, or raising yourself, or exhuming yourself? It says the Holy Quran has mentioned 3 stages of development of the human soul. The first stages, and I spoke of them a few minutes ago. This is just a recap. The first stage is called nafs amara. That's bestiality. That's the soul prone to evil, when the animal and an animal being is predominant. So when your animal self is predominant, let's go into the teachings of ancient Kemet. When we go into the teachings of ancient Kemet, we would often see a head of an animal upon a human body, the head of an human upon the animal body. All of these things represent symbolic aspects, of the states of soul or condition. So it says when animal in the human being is predominant. When the animal in the human being is predominant, this is a conflict, you see, between the higher self and the lower self. You see, because the human consciousness should always prevail over the animal. This is the way in which it is being created. This is what makes you Lord of the plane of soul and Lord of the plane of things made manifest. Nothing else in creation, will be dominant over you. You see what I'm saying? So it says, also, the second stage is that of nafs lawama. The second stage is that of nafs lawama. This is that self-accusing stage that we spoke of. We have the self-reproaching soul, when he begins to become conscious of evil and good in him, and it gets the upper hand. It is the beginning of his spiritual resurrection. You see, the highest stage of development of the human soul is that of nafs mutmaina. You see, that's what we're talking about. We're talking about getting into the higher self when the soul is at peace. How do we reach this stage of consciousness? At this stage, his soul becomes practically immune to failure and faltering, and is at rest in peace. Now, do you know what that is, to become immune to failure, where failure is not an option? Mutmaina, the soul at peace. So this is the greatest degree of unfoldment that we are striving for. We are striving to become peaceful, not just be practicing peace all your life, because it's one thing to practice peace and another thing to be peace. And this same thing is relevant to anybody, regardless of what background they come from. what it is they study or what it is they say they believe in. So yeah, these are powerful drawings. So we have the 3 degrees of the soul already mentioned here, just dealing with these. And now it's going to the word nafs, nafasa, which means to be precious, in request, console, cheer, nafsun, right? Soul, person, self, spirit, mind, inner desire, feeling, willing. It also means punishment. So man, when he falls, he often falls in his head, and he suffers in his head as well. And this is why most of our people end up coming up under a lot of depression. It's we can say a corruption of the thought apparatus, the thinking apparatus, if one is not careful. So there's a connection here when we say nafasa as it relates to the soul, person, self, and the spirit. The soul is in the brain. We are often taught in our lessons. Why? Because soul, we can see here, is also mind, the inner desire or feeling. So let's go a little further. Anfusu. Nafsun and anfusu are used to denote the reflective meaning. And thus, nafsuhu means himself. We're talking about the self. Nafsuhu means himself. Know yourself. Man must know himself. Woman must know herself. And fusuhun means themselves. They must know themselves, right? So this is truly where the knowledge of self is to be found, by searching the soul. And that's why Yehoshua was told to go within himself. And it was being demonstrated synonymous with him looking at the symbols on the wall, the hieroglyphs. Because metaphysically, you read the book of creation by observing those things outside of you. I always like to say this all deals with science, technology, engineering, and mathematics, which is a living manifestation of science. And then nafsi means myself. That's what we need to focus on. Myself. Not somebody else's self, but myself. And we can then influence somebody in mastering themselves. If you want to aid and assist or be concerned with somebody else's self, then you correct yourself. It also means vital principle, blood, spirit, person, individual, intention, desire, pride, scorn, stomach, essence, constituent of the affair, the very thing, the thing itself, the reality behind, heart, life, spirit, body, contention, thought, carnal, life, sensual appetite, face, substance, greatness, nobility, glory, scarcity, absoluteness, unseen, hidden reality, which is beyond human perception, intention, requital, punishment, brother in faith, human being, principle, person, individual, self of a thing, pride. In Surah 2, Ayat 72, the word nafsun has been used as nakira in an indefinite, undefined form. According to the rules of the Arabic grammar, it refers in such cases to very important personage, as a word used nikra gives the sense of greatness. Nafaz, breathing, breath, gust, freedom of action, long discourse, drought, agreeable with, ability, ampleness of life, long discourse, style, wit, nafsun, soul, and fusa, souls, nafusun, souls, tanafasa, clears away the darkness by its breath, shine, dome, mutanafisun, Those who long or aspire after the root has been used in its form about 298 times in the Holy Quran. So all of these are definitions as it relates to the soul. If you can't know yourself after all that right there, goodness gracious, what else is there that you need to know? So when it comes to dealing with the knowledge of self, family, there's a lot to learn. And it's a thin line between the higher self and the lower self as it relates to the soul, because the soul is dual by nature. So keep that in mind as we move forward to our next measure. Let's go further now into another word as it relates to spirit, because we're talking about spirit being clothed with soul made in the form of Allah. Right? So let's go here. And I will go immediately to the word spirit, just to get us exactly where we need to be, and I'm looking for another word. And we'll get to it in a second here. Just give me it's only one word, even though we have a whole bunch of different words that will be relative to the spirit. It's only one that I'm looking for. And this is the most important aspect because it corresponds with mutmaina, when the soul is at peace. It corresponds with al-Ali, the higher self. It corresponds with the highest attribute of the great God Allah. And this is special word right here. That's connected to the name of Jibril. And it's actually Ruh. I want to go directly to the word Ruh. Because Jibril was called Ruh al-Qudus, Ruh al-Amin, the spirit of truth, the Holy Spirit. And these are titles that we even seen in the Piscean records. So give me a second here. Okay, I should be up on it right now. Yeah, here it is right here. This is what we're looking for. And I've built with our people on this many a time. You ever seen the picture where I showed the star that looked like the glass? Within the glass, there's a lamp, which I was going into the definition. That was a divine breakdown in the parable of Surah 24, ayahs 35 and 36 of the Grand Quran, when it talks about Allah as the light of the heavens and the earth. And the light of the heavens means the light of the mind. And the light of the heavens and the mind has to do with that which guides the body, which is the earth. So Allah is the light of the heavens and the earth. But it gives an example of it being, like a niche, and the niche within the glass, and the glass, being enclosed by that of a star. And this says, whose oil is well nigh luminous, and light upon light, though a fire barely or scarcely touch it, it's illuminated, light upon light. And this comes from the Ruh, or the Raha. See, Allah said that he would blow, when he said he would create man. Many of our people overlook the fact that he said that he would blow the breath of life into that man. And that breath of life is referred to as Ruh Allah. That is the Allah in man. That is spirit clothed with soul made in the form of Allah. Ruh Allah. So once you understand this, then it becomes easier to grasp and comprehend why it is, that when he had told the angels to prostrate toward man, why he did this, because he was telling them to prostrate toward himself that he had placed in man. You see? So anyway, as we go on, it states Raha. And you can see Raha, and there's a connection if we go even back to Kemet. A lot of people don't like to hear this, but when you hear it in sound shift, we know what we're talking about. Raha. You see? It states to go or do a thing at evening. And most time that's when the sun is at its heights, Rehum, which means wind, power, dominance, conquest. So this is the spirit being clothed with soul, right? Predominance. This is the seed that is within you that has the potential to be greater than that, which is in the world. Greater is he that is within me than he who is in the world, they say in the Piscean records, right? Strength, victory. Is not the master of the house more honorable than his walls? That's how we say it, right? Strength, victory, good, and pure thing, mercy, aid against the enemy. So in all actuality, when you think you're alone, you think you need some help, your aid is already in you. When it is used in the singular number, it generally signifies divine punishment, as in Surah 17, Ayat 69, Surah 54, Ayat 19, Surah 69, Ayat 6. But when it is used in the plural number, it generally signifies divine blessing. And we have a divine blessing that we came with. So in all actuality, we already blessed. Surah 27, Ayat 63. Ruh, mercy. This is a mercy that has been given from the great God Allah to man. Linguistically, it is related to the noun, ruh, breath of life, and has also the significance of raha, right? Rest, form, grief, sadness, right? Thus, the most appropriate translation of the word ruh would be life-giving and soothing mercy. So you don't lack anything when it comes to your protection, right? The word ruh is often used in the Holy Quran in the sense of divine inspiration. See, going back to that word, revelation, wahi, and ilham. Even when the great God Allah speaks to man, he speaks through man. That's why we say he don't speak to man save by, sending of a messenger, speak from behind a veil, or by sending wahi, revelation. This is how Allah speaks to man. That's the spiritual language of Allah, inspiration, wahi, ilham. Since it gives life to the hearts that were dead in their ignorance and has in the spiritual world the same, it says function as a soul has in the physical world, ruh, breath of life, soul, spirit, inspiration, revelation, essence, the Quran, joy, happiness, mercy, life-giving words of Allah and the Prophet's divine messages because of his life-giving qualities, angels and archangels. So in all actuality, this is really the angel relations that we have as well. When we say an angel is a spirit of Allah manifested in human flesh, because an angel is a thought of Allah manifested in human flesh as well. You see, it's the same joy. We also know that the soul is spirit vibrating not so fast. So the higher realm of the vibration of the soul, when the soul is in line or in alignment with divinity, you can't tell the difference between the two because of the deific tie. It says, Tirihunna, you bring home in the evening. Ruwahun, blowing in afternoon. Evening journey. It states Ruhun, soothing mercy, happiness, comport, bounty, gift. This is a gift. We talk about the gifts of the understanding coming from the treasures of Allah. Ruhun, revelation, spirit, soul, human soul. Gabriel, angel of revelation. Rayhan, flagrant flower plants. Sound like some lotus type of demonstration to me, because the lotus plant is often dealing with the greatest degree of unfoldment. Rehun, punishment. Riyah, divine blessings. The root with its above form has been used in the Holy Quran about 26 times. So this is powerful, family. We can see what the higher self truly is. When we say the higher self, is the human spirit clothed with soul made in the forms of Allah. We can see exactly what that is, family. It don't get no plainer than the truth. So this is a divine and most divine drawing, family. If we understand that right there, then we already in the highest realm of inspiration. This is the grand drawing. This is understanding ourselves and exactly how we're made, by every element and all the ingredients that we are made up of. Want to go and touch on a little small measure before we begin to open up the floor here. Because we have a drawing, and we know that when we talk about, spirit clothed with soul made in the form of Allah, as we were speaking earlier today, in our consortium, we understand that, that cherubim is our scimitar. It's our instrument of protection, so to speak. And seraphim is actually the spirit of our Almighty God Allah in reference as it relates to dealing with the 5-pointed star. This is the reality of scimitar and star. And everything else has to do with that harmony, that truth, that right order, that balance, that justice, or justice, mercy, love, and right, as they encapsulate, all of our principles. That's what the quadrants represent. So here in this special drawing, what we have coming from the book, The Egyptian Cosmology, and Brother Mustafa Gadala, he was dealing with the number 5. And listen to what he stated. He said the universal number 5, or Horus, which is Heru, the phenomenon. It says 2 symbolizes the power of multiplicity, the female mutable receptacle, while 3 symbolizes the male. This was the music of the spheres, the universal harmonies played out between these 2 primal, male and female. We can actually go into what we call Ish and Isha, in regards to dealing with this special measure here, family. Spirit man and spirit woman, Asa and Aset, Ish and Isha, Osiris and Isis. There's a connection here. So the female and male and female universal symbols of Osiris and Isis, it says, whose heavenly marriage produced the child, Horus. And this is how it always has been, because we know the sun is synonymous with man, moon is synonymous with the woman, and the stars which receive their light from the reflective light of the sun striking the surface of the moon, the stars manifesting as a result, that's the child, man, woman, and child. Shout out to our Nation and Gods and Earth family. 5%, they love to talk about that. That's a Kemetic teaching. That's a universal teaching that's dealing with the actual structure of the family, and how we should structure our family. The man should be like the sun within the home. The woman should be like the moon. The man should reflect his light to his wife, and she should reflect what she learned to the seeds, being the first teacher, right? So again, their heavenly marriage produced the child Horus, or the number 5. That's the star. All phenomena without exception are polar in nature. It says in treble in principle. And therefore 5 is the key to understanding the manifested universe, which Plutarch explained in the Egyptian context. And Penta, all is derivative pente, 5. 5 consists of what we call pentagrams, or the pentads, right? So then it states the significance and function of the number 5 in ancient Egypt is indicated by the manner in which it is written. The number 5 in ancient Egypt was written as 2. It says above 3, or sometimes a 5-pointed star. In other words, the number 5, the son Horus, is the result of the relationship between the number 2, the mother Isis, and the number 3, the father Osiris. You know what I mean? So this is one aspect that I wanted to touch on here, but there's another one that follows behind this that goes directly to the point, because it deals with the higher self and the lower self. And this is talking about the dualistic nature of creation of the 2 of the 1. And it says the world as we know it is held together by a law that is based on the balanced dual nature of all things, wholes, units. Among noticeable polarized pairs are male and female, odd and even, negative and positive, active and passive, light and darkness, yes and no, true and false, Each pair represents a different aspect of the same fundamental principle of polarity, and each aspect partakes of the nature of unity, of the nature of duality. The most eloquent expression of dual nature is present in the Egyptian text known as the Bremnerian papyrus. I was anterior to the two anteriors that I made, for I had priority over the two anteriors that I made, for my name was anterior to theirs, for I made them anterior to the two anteriors. So I mean, it goes into many different aspects dealing with the duality. Mustafa Gadala touch on a lot of it in here, family. He talk about, the tying in, the concept of the two becoming one. Very powerful measure that he go into in here. We have to understand that though we are in the world, we are not of the world. You see what I'm saying? And once we understand that right there, we understand that spirit man is governing right here. See, it's talking about Heru and Set, for example. This is what I was trying to get to as well, because it gives us more detail. Because everything that deals with the manifest is based a lot of times upon the number 4. And then we can also see if we were to place the 5 in relation to that as it relates to 4, thinking out of the box, getting out of the box, which deal with materialism, we can see a rebirth, because 4 and 5 represents 9, and 9 represents reentry, the opportunity to unfold by rebirth into our higher medium. So Horus and Set are Heru and Set, Sutek. It says there are basically 2 forces when within each of us, one pulling us down into the box and the other pulling us out of the box. This archetypal inner strength in the Egyptian model is symbolized in the struggle between Herus, Horus, and Set, Sutek, right? It is the archetypal struggle between opposing forces. Horus in this context is the divine man, born of nature, who must do battle against Set. His own kin represent the power of opposition and not evil in the narrow sense. Set represents the concept of opposition in all aspects of life, physically and metaphysically. We must continuously learn and evolve like Horus, whose name means he who is above. In other words, we must strive to reach higher and higher. We learn and act by affirmation of the Horus in each of us, and by negating the Set within us. The obstacles within each of us, represented by Set, must be controlled and overcome by battling the enemies of impurity within. So you got to take that scimitar of consciousness and go within. Cherubim and seraphim is leading on, scimitar and that star, right? So this is a powerful demonstration. Before there was a conflict between Horus and Set, there was a conflict between the father of Horus, or Heru, and Set, or Sa and Set. In fact, it was Heru that was avenging his father. So Osiris and Set, Osiris as a manifesto of truth is always opposed by Set. In the typical ancient Egyptian story, it says, Form Plutarch writes in his Moralia, volume 5, 356 and 13, it says about how Osiris was invited by Set to a feast, where Set and his accomplices tricked Osiris into lying down in a makeshift coffin. All of this is allegory, symbology, how we become tricked to lie down in this makeshift coffin that we call the body. And that killed Asa. And if we get caught up into this makeshift coffin called the body, then we can go to our demise too if we ain't careful. Plutarch continues with, and those who were in the plot ran to it and slammed down the lid, which they fastened by nails from the outside, and also by using molten lead. Then they carried the chest to the river and sent it on its way to the sea, And the Egyptians say also that the date on which this deed was done was the 17th day of Athor, November the 17th, when the sun passes through Scorpio, right? The events of 17th of Athor, November the 27th, or the 27th, as reported by Plutarch, have all the elements of the biblical Jesus in the Last Supper, conspiracy, feast, friends, pardon self, and betrayal. However, for the ancient Egyptians, there are other meanings to the story. Plutarch in the Moralia, Volume 5, 366 and 39d wrote, the story told of the shutting up of Osiris in his chest seems to mean nothing else than the vanishing and disappearance of water. At the time when the Nile recedes to its low level and land becomes denuded, as the nights grow longer, the darkness increases and the potency of the night is abated and subdued. The antagonistic relationship between Osiris and Set as it relates to the environmental conditions is mentioned by Plutarch in Moralia, Volume 5, 364-33b as such. The Egyptians simply give the name Osiris to the whole source and faculty of creative moisture, believing this to be the cause of generation and the substance of life producing seed. And the name of Set they give to all that is dry, fiery, and arid in general, and antagonistic to moisture. The insidious scheming and usurpation of Set then is the power of drought, which gains control and dissipates the moisture, which is the source of the Nile and of its rising. And then it goes into, the unification aspects, dealing with the two plants, Horus and Thoth, the two Hapis, the Koreans of the two land, all of this stuff in here is powerful measures dealing with how the two becomes one, family. I want to go here, though. Honor our brother Mustafa Gadala for that great work. I want to touch on a measure here real quick, and then I'm going to open on up the floor, because we can see the same thing that's being spoken in the concept of uniting the higher self into its divinity, and we bring the lower self under control. And that's how one becomes worthy of the crown of Upper and Lower Egypt, both the red crown and the white crown. Hence where this science goes into the red Fez degrees and white Fez degrees, in the teachings of more science, right? Oh, I didn't mean to put that there, but y'all see that adding this I was talking about earlier, right? With all them rays coming down from it with the hands at the end. I'm actually looking for another portion here. This is actually showing, the ones demonstrating in the boat, where they are actually spearing the head of a pet, the serpent. You know what I mean? That's a powerful demonstration right there. That's showing, the conquering aspects. So when you get Set under control, Set begins to work for you. Set begins to be a servant of you. Okay. So this is the one I wanted to go to, the concept of Samai Tawi. And they talked about it here. This is Brother Muata Ashby. And listen to what he says. We'll start from here because it actually would be there. It said the teachings of yoga are at the heart of the Pert Imheru. As explained earlier, the word yoga is a Sanskrit term meaning to unite the individual with the cosmic. The term has been used in certain parts of this book for ease of communication, since the word yoga has received wide popularity, especially in Western countries in recent years. The ancient Egyptian equivalent term to the Sanskrit word yoga is samai. Samai means union, and the following determinative terms give it a spiritual significance, at once equating it with the term yoga. As it is used in India, when used in conjunction with the ancient Egyptian symbol, which means land, ta, in the term union of the two lands. That's what we're talking about. Remember we said having the crown of Lord and upper kingdom of kingdom. So this is what we are speaking of. Listen to what it says. Now, there's a statement that is made, and I'm going to get to it in a second after I read this. It says in chapter 4 and 17 of the Pert Imheru, Samai Tawi is used. It means union of the two lands of Egypt, ergo Egyptian yoga. The two lands refer to the two main districts of the country, north and south, upper Kemet and lower Kemet, right? In ancient time, Egypt was divided into two sections, land areas. These were known as Lower and Upper Egypt. In ancient Egyptian mystical philosophy, the land of the Upper Egypt relates to the divinity of Heru, which represents the higher self, and the land of the Lower Egypt represents or relates to Set. So both Mustafa Gadali and Muta Ashby pretty much agree upon the higher self and divinity represent Heru, and the lower self, or Lower Egypt, represents Set. Let's say the lower land. The divinity of the lower self. So Samai Tower means the unity of the two lands. When you are able to find divinity even in the lower self, when you unite the high and the lower, you are able to wear the crown of Lower and Upper Kemet. The white crown and the red crown. So you move from the red Fez degree into the white Fez degree. You already came out of the black Fez degree, dealing with the chemistry, the ministry of love, dealing with that which is red, actually refers to the blood flow. Remember, this is life according to the definition that was given earlier, dealing with the self, right? And then white mean purity, purity mean God, God mean the ruler of the land. So that's why the crown of Lower and Upper Kemet is a red and a white crown. You see? But anyway, the lower self relates to that which is negative and uncontrolled, that animal nature, right? Mind, including worldliness, egoism, ignorance, etc., Set. While the higher self relates to that which is above temptations and is good in the human heart as well as in the touch with transcendental consciousness, Heru. Thus, we also have the ancient Egyptian term Samai Heru Set, or the union of Heru and Set. So Samai Tawi, or the Samai Heru Set, are the ancient Egyptian words which are to be translated as Egyptian yoga. So he's showing you the real purpose of yoga. But it says above the main symbol of Egyptian yoga, a Sama, it states the ancient Egyptian language and symbols provide the first historical record of yoga philosophy and religious literature. Hieroglyph, Sama, Sima, represented by the union of two lungs in the trachea, symbolizes that the union of the duality, that is, the higher self and lower self, leads to non-duality, the one singular consciousness, the grand idea that precludes to monotheism, the deific tie as a result of deific will. Now we understand why the statement was made in our chapter, man is bound by cord to every other living thing. Everything is one, according to this. So you see both Heru and Set tying off, in the divinity of the unity, of the self. So yeah, this is a powerful demonstration, family. And it goes on and it says, and I'm going to open up after this. It says, above left, Samai Heru Set join forces to tie up the symbol of union. Sima, see above, be above. It states the Sima symbol represents to the union of the Upper Egypt, lotus, and the Lower Egypt, papyrus, one under one ruler. It states, but also at a more subtle level, it refers to the union of one's higher self and the lower self, Heru and Set, as well as the control of one's breath, life force, through the union, control of the lungs, and breathing organs. The character of Heru and Set are an integral part of Pert Imheru. The central and most popular character within ancient Egyptian religion is Osar as Heru, who is an incarnation of his father. Osar is killed by his brother Set, who out of greed and demonic set in his ways, tendencies, craved to be the ruler of Egypt. with the help of Jajuti, god of wisdom, Aset, the great mother, and Heru, his consort. Heru prevailed in the battle against Set for rulership of Kemet, Egypt. Heru's struggle symbolizes the struggle of every human being to regain rulership, to become the executive ruler of the self, to become the grand hierophant of yourself, to become one with the netter of yourself, family, the higher self, to subdue the lower self. And it states the most ancient writings in our historical period are from the ancient Egyptians. These writings are referred to as hieroglyphics, some people like to say, right? All this is symbolism, not even words, but symbolism. It states the original name given to these writings by the ancient Egyptians is Medu-Neter, meaning the writing of God. Not the writing of man, but the writing of God. And the Most High has given us an aspect, we call them words of God, by expressing these as things, people, places, and things, science, technology, engineering, mathematics. That's Medu-Neter. But anyway, it says divine speech. These writings are inscribed in temples, coffins, papyrus, contained in the teachings in reference to the spiritual nature of the human being and the ways to promote spiritual emancipation, awakening, and resurrection. In other words, they are formulas. The ancient Egyptian proverbs presented in this text are translations from the original hieroglyphic scriptures. An example of hieroglyphic text was presented above in the form of the text of Samai Tawi in Egyptian yoga. It says the Egyptian philosophy may be summed up in the following proverbs, which clearly state the soul is heavenly or divine, and that the human being must awaken to the true reality, which is the spirit, self. Self-knowledge is the basis of true knowledge. Soul to the heaven, body to the earth. Man is to become God-like through a life of virtue and cultivation of the spirit, through scientific knowledge, practice, and bodily discipline. Salvation is accomplished through the efforts of the individual. There is no mediator between man and his or her salvation. Salvation is the freeing of the soul from its bodily fetters, becoming a God through knowledge and wisdom, controlling the forces of the cosmos instead of being a slave to them, subduing the lower nature through the awakening of the higher self, ending the cycle of rebirth, and the dwelling with the netters who direct and control the great plan. And all of those books have taught this. Man is spirit, clothed with soul, made in the form of Allah according to the Quran, our Moorish Holy Quran. Man is Ru'Allah. Allah placed himself in the essence of man, the spirit of Allah, according to the Grand Quran, Quran of Muhammad. In the Bible, it is said, know ye not that ye are the temple of God and the spirit of God which dwelleth within you, so to speak. And also, it goes in many other aspects where it tells you are gods. Even Yehoshua in the book of John, Jesus said it when they got ready to stone him. Isn't it not written in your law that I said that ye are gods? He quoted the psalm that was stated to say you gods when they was finna stone him. So all of these books, have taught the same thing. It is us who come forth with the distortion and become confused as a result thereof. So, again, this is a powerful measure, family. And at this time, we're going to go ahead and open up the floor, so that we can hear from our family and all it is that they have to say. And it's just a powerful draw. We welcome all of you. Again, be sure to hit that like, share, and subscribe. It don't get no plainer than this. We bringing it to you. We telling you exactly how you made. That's the first question that was given to us in our questionnaire by our holy prophet, Noble Drew Ali, who made you. So now you know how you made. Now you know how to operate. Now you know how to demonstrate. Now you know what it means to be spirit clothed with soul made in the form of Allah, and how to be your higher self instead of your lower self. Wear the crown of upper and lower Kemet as a mastermind, as an adept, as a hierophant, as an executive ruler, as a magistrate, governing your own subject, because your lower self is subject to you, if you only knew. Lord of the plane of soul, Lord of the plane of things made manifest. It don't get no plainer than that. So that's what we talk about when we say spirit clothed with soul made in the form of Allah. We removing all the spookism. You see my backdrop, the divine anatomy of Allah will bear witness against man. Arm, leg, arm, head. Islamism without the schism. So at this time, what we're going to do, we're going to open up the floor so that we can hear from our family. You know, so *6 your phone, Moors, if you would like to bring forth your measure and express yourself. Islam. Is there anyone out there would like to give their measure? Okay. Well, I know how to deal with this one right here. Grand National Secretary of State, where you at?
Islam.
Okay, Islam, Grand Man.
Islamism. Divine Minister Harul Pakat Maya Al-Beg, Vice Consul General of the Michigan Council of Moorish America. Let me first rise and give all praise to our Father God Allah. Honor to our Prophet Noble Drew Ali. Honor to the Moorish American government. Honor to everything that is Moorish. Honor to you, Moor, for this beautiful class. And I'm sure our Moors just getting our thoughts together, you know, based on this thought-provoking Moorish perspective here. And, you know, it's just a grand class, and I just want to give you honors, my brother. Give honor to the Moorish American government. Give honor to our Prophet Noble Drew Ali for setting forth this thought pattern and even getting us to these lessons, you know, that teaches us the difference between our higher self and our lower self. And this is what you're talking about. And this was a powerful, beautiful class, and and there's no strange happenings. I was just talking to him more about this exact same sentiment, and this was the exact same sentiment that I was trying to prevail. The Moorish American perspective is not one that's based on physicality, and this is looking at the 12-step ladder inverted, and you know, we understand that our Father God Allah is of a spiritual nature, and our origin, our essence is of a spiritual nature. And so when ones get caught up in, you know, money and physicality and things outside of themselves, it's really just a trap of the lower self, and this is not more science. And so we understand that this is the test that we have to come through, because man is truth and falsehood strangely mixed from this finite perspective, but we are not bound down by the experience of life. And so we learn how to control the experience from controlling our emotion and controlling our reaction, controlling our thoughts, learning how to think. And so it's just so much honors that we can give. And this is the true blessing. When ones get caught up in money and these different financial gains and these different things, this is not a true blessing, because it can be taken away. And these things are temporal. But the things that you speak of are the treasures of Allah. You know, the love, the truth, the peace, the freedom, and justice. These are the everlasting treasures of Allah that cannot be taken away. And these are the precious things that you're speaking about. You know, talking about how to overcome this lower nature. And this is what it means to be a Moorish American. And this is what we talk about. It's about overcoming this lower nature and understanding that you do have a lower nature, and you have to overcome your own lower nature. And so it's just it's no strange happenings that you come forth with this, you know, because you know, it is the truth. And this is what the Moorish American is about. He's not caught up in this in the physical, though we were brought here as angels to to manifest and be the strength of Allah made manifest and go through this test, but we're not to be caught up in the worldly test. And so, honestly, for this perspective, you know, it's just so amazing because the Moorish American government is about spiritual gifts first. Now, it's not nothing. There's nothing wrong with having physical goals and goals based on material gain. You know, we're not saying go live as a beggar, but to understand that the spirituality is the pinnacle, is the leader, is the most important thing. It's more important than the riches, you know, and that's something that we've learned here in this Moorish American government. This is something we pound home, and I'm just so thankful to hear it from you today in such a beautiful manner. And keep up the great work. Islam and peace.
And Islam and peace, grand man. Yes, sir. That's why we talk about spirit clothed with soul made in the form of Allah. You know, in the lower self, you know, don't always just manifest itself in the form of material, in the form of wealth. In most cases, it has to do with the desires, you know, for those things. And so, pardon the self, brother, and I got you in a second. So when we deal with also the concept, for example, you can have an upright man, and if he with a materialistic woman, that will be his test. If you got an upright woman and she with a materialistic man, that will be her test. You see what I'm saying? And they can be as upright as they are. But if there is no Samai Tawi, if there is no unity between, you know, two, if they are unequal to yoke, as they say, you know, ain't nothing gonna go right. And it's the same thing if you were just dealing with a general friendship. You know, if you deal with, you know, you being upright and your friend not being so upright, you know, and their body of desires is based on the manifest, you can be as upright as you are, but being in the company of those individuals, you're gonna run into some hardship. Or vice versa. If you were the one that when your lower state of desires and they were in their higher state, they're gonna run into some hardship. You know, that's just the way it is. Association brings upon a simulation. Unfortunately, some people just try to fake it till they make it. You know, so we give honor to your brother for that draw. In Islam, I think I heard our brother assistant Grand Mufti Justice L. Bay trying to get in there. Islam?
Islam, you hear me?
Yes, sir. We hear you loud and clear, brother, with divine ears.
Praise Allah. Pardon myself for the fast left interruption. Praise Allah. Honor to our holy prophet Noble Drawley, and honor to you, Dr. Saeed, our national assistant grand sheikh, sir, for this great class. And honor to all of those who assist you in the class, and honor to the entire Act One. As always, special honor to our national grand sheikh and our national grand chairman, Moorish America, who have power to make law and enforce law with the system of the prophet and the grand body of Moorish America. And honor to you, sir, our host tonight, our national assistant grand sheikh, but the assistant grand sheikh is to assist grand sheikh in all affairs is he live according to love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice, and known before the citizen of Moorish America. Well, you know, so the prophet did say, I brought you everything it takes to save the nation. I take it to save ourselves. And just my little portion, I understand, sir, the thing that comes to me is who made you? Allah, the great God of the universe, because you still, you was over there, but the spirit, what I got out of it is man and Allah is one. And being God, everything is spirit, because, you know, flesh and bone cannot think or reason. And, you know, from listening, we spend more time within ourselves because we are gods and being God. And, you know, we have our high self. We know that we have a lower self that live with us, that's going to be with us, but we have our higher self, and we're not looking for any excuses, and there shouldn't be any excuses. Because when you understand that Allah, the great God of the universe, made you, and he's the one that sent the Holy Prophet Noble Drawley, yes, we should focus more on coming from within and more understanding that the strength in ourselves, because flesh and bone is we allow the lower self to take over, then the lower self will have the power over your own higher self, which will be our fault, because we are being spirit man, being God, flesh and bones, because we are in charge of it, and we have no reason to allow ourselves to be falling deep into the Lord. So understand that we have a higher self, where we have no excuses, where we can get back to doing what it is that we're supposed to be doing, is serving the great God of the universe and our holy prophet Noble Drew Ali, so that we can aid, assist, and fix our people. Understand that being God, this is our job to aid and assist others, to get them to understand that they are God as well. And that's what I see. And I'm sure I have a little more to navigate in this thing above my neck, because it was a great class, a very powerful class, sir. And I just go on and years of time and just give you high honor for the class, sir. But it's something that is gonna make me go back and make me think and listen and see where I just need to continue to study more. Islam.
And Islam, I want to give honors to you for that measure, brother. I want to be a little vigilant, and say that the lower self will never gain control over the higher self, because the higher self is spirit clothed with soul made in the form of Allah. So it always be subject, but the lower self can gain control over your desires. You know what I mean? And that's what we have to be watchful of. Our ability to think, will, reason, understand, and remember. Islam?
Islam. Praise Allah.
Gratitude, grand man.
Gratitude, sir.
Yes, sir. Praise be to Allah. Well, all right. Islamism without the schism. Islam, grand man.
Islamism without the schism. Peace and blessings, Mo. How you be?
I'm just as Moorish as ever. How about yourself, brother? We on the up and up. We got a few wings coming. Islam.
Well, look, man, I'm right there with you. I'm right there with you, grand man, on the up and up. And, and that's what the class was all about. On the up and up. Islam.
Islam.
So, Dr. Torre of Nur Rasul. Islam. Dr. Torre of Nur Rasul. Simpson Bay. Turn ancient high name then Dr. Kepler Nubus Rasul Bay. Giving rise and praise to our Father God Allah. Honor to our Holy Prophet Noble Drew Ali. Honor to everything that is Moorish, our grand national flag, emblem of Till, divine constitution, and bylaws of Moorish America. Islam, and just getting right to it. As you were speaking, grand man, the first thing came to my mind is when the Prophet left us know, he said the Moors once ruled the world. And so now we're getting ready to rule it again, but this time it's going to be done under love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice. And so, when we look at our divine constitution and we see our 7 supreme laws, when we also look at our 101s, question 19, what kind of flag is Moorish? It is a red flag with a 5-pointed green star in the center. And what do the 5 points represent? Love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice. And so when we talk about the hued band, we're definitely talking about that thought of the great God Allah, spirit man. And when we look at a living representation of love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice, this is each and every one here and there and everywhere of melanated or Moorish Americans, Asiatics, the melanated, the real true Americans. And this 5-point up the green star, we also see it on our grand national flag. So that 5-point up the green star is that single expression of the great God and man are one. Because we understand that the principles are definitely spirit and truth. Because our prophet lets us know that he brought us something we can shout about. And he also know that this holy war, this holy war that the prophet talks about, this is within. This holy war is within, because now we have come into the realization that we're not Negro, black, or color. We're coming to the realization that we must return to church and Christianity. We come to the realization that we've been duped and that those before us didn't know the truth. And now we are here uplifting our people from their simple ways, following the footsteps of our prophet. And it definitely takes, the when you come to class, the highest self is human spirit clothed with soul made in the form of Allah. And that's that arm, leg, arm, head. And so therefore we continue to be the breath to uplift our people, give them the truth, give them some divine order, natural order, and also the social order. And this is what Allah has established with this great nation, through our prophet, Nabi Ali. Bringing us everything that it takes to save us as a nation, so that we can be upright, fit us independent, and not inverted in that lower self, and become the pharaoh of your world, your own universe, because it starts with self. Islam, who made you? Don't live more America. Grand class. That's Sister Grand Street.
In Islam, in grand measure, beloved brother, we give honors to you for all that you do. Praise be to Allah. Islam is without the schism. That's Aliism. Well, all right. That's what I'm talking about. Islam. Brother Bati Bey.
Islam. First of all, I'd like to rise and give all man praise to Allah, honors to the Prophet, honors to our credit government, our royal council, our flag, seal, living with my divine constitution. I true things is not to be a citizens alike. Honors to all the Moors that spoke before me, all the ones that will speak after. Honors to you for this class and the topic and the information that was presented on the floor. And I remember there was a time when I was in between beliefs. I didn't know what to believe. I didn't know what to believe in. And, I asked for it to be put in simple enough fashion, so that I could gain some type of ground, because I was going through, what depression and, a whole bunch of nonsense. And so when messages like this get put out and you look at what you read out of the Piscean records or out of the Bible, and you can't comprehend, I'm not going to say you can't comprehend, you don't know how it applies, and then it's put forth in a measure like this one. You know what I'm saying? As was the most holy Quran, as was the exhument of a nation. It shows, it gives you, it rekindles that spirit. You know what I'm saying? That essence, because it shows that it's not no pie in the sky. It ain't no, there's not nobody sitting on a it's you. It's really about overcoming yourself, your lower fetters, and becoming into that God state. That is your lofty estate. And a lot of us, we throw away our lofty estate, by the moment, by the minute, by the situation, and in order to regain it, or not even lose it, but to be able to stay within it even during tumultuous times, is keen on how well you know yourself and the teachings that you choose to digest. Because a lot of times, if it's not put in a fashion like this, where it's, it shows that you are your God. You got to look in the mirror. You are your devil. You know what I'm saying? And a lot of people don't want that responsibility. I'm not, and I don't mean to, for me, I'm going to say for me, when I realized that there was questions that couldn't be answered, this was the only, More Science was the only place that could answer those questions that we're told not to question underneath the Christian dialect, and even in Islam, and what they call Orthodox Islam. And so when I got these teachings, man, and I, there's a lot of what you was reading over was a lot of the Sufi stuff. Like it's out of that book Mastery I got, and I can't say I read a whole bunch of Sufi teachings. It's really just that one book I got on Mastery that lines up with everything. And then I downloaded that God, the Man-Made Flesh, and it shows that, this is a process of you vibrating in a higher state. You know what I'm saying? You becoming the ruler of all that used to say. You know what I'm saying? And that in that sense, it takes on a new essence when you understand spirituality. And a lot of people, frankly, just don't understand how they're created, so therefore they don't know how to go about their life. You know what I'm saying? And that was the grand measure that you put before us today, and I appreciate your scholarship. Islam.
In Islam, we appreciate you too, Scribe, and Executive Ruler, and all that you do. Praise be to Allah. Islamism without the schism, that's Aliism. Islam. Well, all right. Any other more who would like to come forth and exercise their 5? The floor is still open. We still got a little room, Moors. Is there any other more who would like to come forth and exercise their 5? Yeah. Don't be shy. Let the world know you're alive. Islam? Islam, who that is?
It's National Assistant Grand Sheikh, sir. This just the other day. I just if I could, can I just ask a quick question?
Yeah, all is well, brother. No problem.
But it's been rattling in my head for some time now. And, we have in the 5-point Open Green Star, East 72, East Pentagram 72 degrees, east of 306, and we're born at 360 degrees. And then I look at our Moorish American flag, and I'm just looking at everything. So I just had this deep thought about, so everything's been since man and Allah is one, and we've been spirit and the flesh and bones was covered. So all of this is just it's the spirits that operate everything, because we know that flesh and bone don't have any power without us, the spirit, then the God. This is why it's so important that we go within, and it's the same thing in everything else. If I'm not correct, I'm asking that it's the same thing with everything. We have to go within, even to understand our flag, even to understand the 5-point Green Star, even to understand that everything that the Prophet Noble Drew Ali brought, because he said that he came and he was 5 times greater than anyone, any prophet came before him.
Islam. The Prophet, is a culmination of everything that came before him. He is 5 times more powerful. He is the 7th of his time. So he definitely did his job. Islamism without the schism. Praise be to Allah.
Praise Allah.
Islamism. Well, all right. Yeah, so it's a powerful measure, Moors. Okay. So all is well. All right. We dropped the link in there to see if any of our family wanted to get in there. Mashallah. Click the link and come through and give a drawing real quick, if you will. All are welcome. If there's any questions or anything you have to ask, you want to know more about what we do here at the Moorish American government, you want to get involved in self-determination and building your own nation, hit the link real quick. We're going to make this a specialty right here, since we talking about who made us. If not, we'll go to our officials. We're going to give our families an opportunity to try to get in here if they want to get in here. So, that's what we do, family. We here to bring our people the truth. We definitely don't teach spookism. We teach, the highest teaching when it comes to Islamism. This is what we demonstrate, and that's all we can do. We ain't gonna never try to force nobody to accept the truth. But if you want to be a part and parcel of what it means to uplift fallen humanity and be a part of something where you're actually contributing to your people and yourself, tap in and bring your talents to the Moorish American government. You know, we want you to exercise your five. We want you to be able to demonstrate your individuality and what it is that's God power that has been given to you by the Most High, the great God, the creator, the ancestor. You know, being a successor of those who came before us, we the return of the ancient ones. You know, so Islamism. But just know that you all are welcome if you ever decided that you wanted to come in. Like I said, I dropped the link for anybody want to come in. We don't do no arguing and trying to contend with your family. You know, a lot of times we are challenged out there in the realm of social media to the extent that where they can't deal with the truth before us and they try to blackball you and everything. But you can't blackball the truth. You know, the truth will always come back for 7 to 5 times more powerful. You know, especially when you try to crush it to the earth. The truth will rise from its own ashes. Islamism. So what we're going to do, you know, we're going to go ahead to our officials, starting with our sister Alseta Moon L. Islam, you there, sister? Okay, well, she's about the business of our Father God Allah. Let's move on and call forth our National Grand Mufti, Dr. Khonshu Mark Herube. Islam?
Islam.
Islamism.
Our religion, gratitude, grand man for calling us for. We rise, giving all thanksgiving, adoration, worship, and praise to the only one worthy of those things, the great God of the universe, our Father God, Allah, the most beneficent and the most wise. And we give the highest honors that we can give his prophet, our prophet, the last prophet in these days and in these times, Prophet Noble Drew Ali, El-Haj Sheikh Sharif Abdullah Ali, the savior of humanity. We give honors to his forerunner, Marcus Mosiah Garvey, and we give honors to his government, our government, the Moorish American government, the government in which we live. We give honors to the officials of this government, our divine ministers and our swift angels, our mufti, our royal council, our secretaries. We give honors to our citizens, the Moorish Americans. We give honors to our flag and our divine constitution and bylaws, our Holy Quran, our Grand National Seal, our Grand National Emblem, our Book of Fire, the Exhument of a Nation. We give honors to everything that is Moorish. We give a special high honors to you, National Sister Grand Sheikh, Dr. Shadu Amini Ahmedu Shem Shuel, for bringing forth this grand Moorish perspective. We give honors to all of our Moorish kin who have spoken before us and to our Moorish kin who will speak after us. We give honors to you, angels. Continue to give honors where they're due, to honor all true and divine prophets. And we give honors to our ancestors. They have come before us leading the way. We are them today without doubt or contradiction, because no one has the power to change man from his descent nature. Praise Allah for that. And there are two selves, the higher self and the lower self, and that is such a powerful drawing, you know, especially for me personally, you know, getting that understanding and understanding that you can separate yourself from the knot and realize that you are opt and not this strangely mixed concoction. You know, it's very powerful to know that, you know, that you got control of the self. You know, you don't have to have or demonstrate from a lower vibration, that you can demonstrate from the high, and that's you got the power to change the good in the world. Put it like that. You know, we all want people to be good and, you know, do good things in the world. And we may not have a problem. We may not have the power to change others, but we do have the power to change ourselves. And thus, in that action, add more good unto the world. and that you don't have to succumb to what lower thoughts are. You don't have to claim them lower thoughts as your own. Because I think, at least for myself, I feel like this at a time period before I knew I even had empathetic powers, but it was a time period when there were certain thoughts I was thinking, I was like, man, that's just what it is. That's just how I'm supposed to think. But, praise the Lord for the prophet and coming and making it clear, like, no, you don't have to accept that. And when you realize who you are, and you realize that that's not even you. That's the shadow of yourself. This inverted nature. It makes it scientific, I guess you could say. When you recognize that, if you got this upright version, then the shadow is the inverted version, and it's going to demonstrate like this. And you got to choose whether you're going to stand upright or you're going to, be upside down. You got the choice whether or not, in any situation, on which to be. And that's where you just demonstrate the power or force and the power of God. That's being put in one's image and likeness. And you have the power to choose what you want to do. And so, like I said, it's very powerful, and it's very powerful in the understanding that the unity of life that being higher self and lower self being strangely mixed, the understanding that you always got the power in order to subdue that one, and one can never overpower you. You can only give up, the power to it, and in a sense, give it life, because it really has no life. It's like the shadow. It seems like it's there, but you can't touch it. You can turn around, you can see the form, but there's nothing you can do with it. You can't breathe on it, because it's not really there. So this has been a grand class. We can go definitely into this lesson because it's very powerful for all of us, coming out of mental slavery and taking control over our lives, and understanding that we don't have to be the programmed, stereotypical thought pattern that others have for us, that we actually have the control. So gratitude for calling us forth, for gratitude to you, Morris America, for being here with us, giving us your time, attention, and respect. We love you. Islam and peace.
And Islam and peace, brother. Gratitude to you for that drawing. Praise be to Allah. Islamism without the schism. Yes, sir. Well, all right. Let us call forth our Grand National Secretary of State, Sister Shepsut Rakat Ma'at and Pooh, Tutankhamun Bay. Islam. You there, Goddess and Queen?
Close as a thought. Gratitude.
Gratitude.
Grand class. Gratitude. Islam Wars Ken. First of all, I want to rise, giving all praises to our Father God Allah, giving honor to our Prophet Noble Ali, the last prophet in these days and times, giving honor to our Moorish American government, all of our officials, staff, the angels, muftis, divine ministers, most especially our Moorish kin. Giving honor to all those Moors who spoke before me, all those Moors that will speak after me. Giving a special honor to our National Assistant Grand Sheikh of Moorish America, Dr. Shedo Amenti El Mahejid Shep Suel, for opening our meeting according to law and also hosting this Grand Moorish Perspectives class this evening. Our subject matter coming from ayats 5 and 6 of our subject chapter for the week, Elihu's lessons, the unity of life. There are two selves, the higher and lower self. The higher self is human spirit clothed with soul, made in the form of Allah. When we look at, also ayat 7, the lower self, the carnal self, the body of desires, is a reflection of the higher self, distorted by the murky ethers of the flesh. have a clue of how the study of the self was necessary and key. Being indoctrinated here in the West, I was taught to look outside of the self. And based upon what I saw with my carnal eyes or what I heard with my carnal ears or what have you, then that would be a determinant factor of whether I was happy one minute, sad the next, ready to take somebody off the count the next, et cetera, et cetera. So it left one in a state of instability, a state of inconstancy, a lot of weakness. And basically, you have yourself open to be manipulated by any kind of wind that blows, you know. So not recognizing that we have a treasure within ourselves, first of all, recognizing the fact that we are a spirit and a part of the great God Allah. That's the aspect within us that is our higher self. That is the thing within us that cannot change or pass away. You know, as long as our Creator is our Creator, then we live as well. So spirit man can't die. Now, looking at that other self, dealing with the lower self, which is an illusion and will pass away. And too often, without having these special lessons, that opens the door for the woe is me, in despair, and, you know, ready to take oneself off the count because you don't see a way out. So we give honor to our Prophet Noble Jurali for bringing these special truths to us and having us go as opposed to looking outside of the self into everybody else's stuff except, you know, taking care of the study of the self. So then we are encouraged to go within where our treasures lie. So when we look at, I want to give you much honor more for bringing forth those special words, dealing with the root of Ali, Allah, dealing with illustrious, exalted, high, and that soul, dealing with the duality, where we have the option, and that's another key. We have the option or determination to decide are we going to demonstrate on a low path of bestiality and, you know, put the blame on things outside of the self, or are we going to take that high road, which is in essence helping us to unfold into the God state. When we look at, you spoke about wanting to blame everything, looking outside of self, even a lot of times blaming ourselves, as opposed to how can we come together and find a solution and recognize the fact that our prophet brought to us the solution to the Negro problem. It's dealing with the nationality and divine creed. It's dealing with the study of the self, being able to find the treasures within yourself. So the other thing that was really beautiful was being able to deal with that root or breath, giving life to heart, dead in ignorance. And the lessons that we have received from our Prophet Noble Jurali bring about a joy, a contentment, a peace, and a happiness, because you no longer have to wonder or wander around in the state of darkness and ignorance. It's a blessing to be able to know who your ancient forefathers were, where you came from, and also where you're going. What is your particular purpose? What is your path in life? You know, so recognizing the fact that we do have a higher self and a lower self, but the thing that stays with us is our higher self, and recognize that we have the power to eradicate that lower self, because evil is not necessary or requirement of man. So this is just a powerful chapter and lesson brought forth, you know, from our Father's treasures, because we can't get enough in reference to the tools that we need to be able to go within, note our own strengths and weaknesses, and unfold into the God that we are. So gratitude, more for calling me forth. Much peace and love to all of my Moorish kin. Islam.
In Islamism, without the schism, Grand National Secretary of the State, we give honors to you for that drawing. Praise be to Allah. Well, let us call forth our Grand National Chairman, Dr. Acting Pert M. Heru, Tutankhamun Bay, Islam. You there, Grand Man? Grand National Chairman of
Can you hear me?
Oh yeah, Islamism with angelic ears. You hear me?
Without the schism, Islam. Rather give praise to Allah and to the Prophet Noble Dwala. He did much honor to Noble Dwala. The last prophet these days and time that was sent to us is Morris American National from the great God Allah to bring us everything that it takes to save a nation. That's why we got our own divine constitution. We have our own flag, Grand National Seal and emblem. Well, we got it all. We got our Holy Quran, our one-on-one questionnaire. It's just an honor and a blessing to know that you have eyes to see, ears to hear. We are now the message that we bring because we know who made us. Boy, it's a powerful journey. And it's also even greater still knowing who made you and that you are my brothers and sisters. Islam isn't without a schism. I'm still pumped up. Islam.
Islamism without the schism. We give honors to you for that love thought, Chairman. Goodness gracious. Ooh-wee. But let us call forth our national grand sheik, Dr. Serapis Amin Rael. Islam, you there, Sheik?
Close to the top.
Islamism. That's that same thought the high self brought. Islamism.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. That's the one. We want to give a lot of praise. You rise above the spinning plane where Finnet Man does spinning things. Give a lot of praise of everything it is what they're supposed to be. Well, I'm telling you, this demonstration, the prophet, I tell you that term, and going up in there, and it's like going into I think the dentist office, I'll put it like that, and pulling the tooth, and it kind of hurts because if you lived in, probably I was explaining to his brother that's over with me, lived in Tulsa for so long, having to pull the tooth out, it's like pulling the falsehood up out of you and giving you a breath of fresh air, a breath of light. This is how the basis of truth versus falsehood abides in man. And like one of my brothers said, falsehood don't go, truth don't go nowhere. It's there, but falsehood is always an element of being a foe. Man must fight. And you explained it so sweet, so deep in the context of understanding who we are as a people. The fact that we need to walk through this outside world being condemned, being misused, being physically abused, and not knowing that we are the truth. They manifest, feed into falsehood, and have to walk into falsehood, which is the darkness, not understanding that we will all the light, we should walk in the light. If it hadn't been for the prophet over to Ali, where would we be? So we are just so ecstatic about this revelation of this newness of, if you will, about us, because we now know ourselves. We tell the brothers and sisters on the street when we see them about this newfound love. How to walk in the darkness no more. You walk in sublime light and truly allow it's going to lead you right. Thanks, God. God is this prophet. Everything the prophet brought, everyone the prophet taught. Islam. January 15th, 1929, the morning from the prophet. He read down me.
Everybody inform all citizens they must end all radical, agitating speeches while they work in their own streets. We offer peace and not destruction. Stop flattering your God and your opinions. Causes confusion. Remember, your God is from your salvation. Hate you obey His orders and fear to obey the gospel. Self with love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice. And when these principles are violated, justice then must take its course. Any citizen or group of citizens, the whole religious feelings towards the government, all the prophets, will violate the divine government. The Moorish movement will receive their reward from Allah, their unjust deeds. All true Moors will and must obey the laws laid down for them by the prophet. Lose the prophet, keep confidence in the prophet. She turned in their God and brother. These were interpreted and says, return to the state where I, the prophet, found you. This is a holy and divine movement, founded by the prophet Noble Truali, and if the prophet is not right, the government is not right. The prophet, therefore, is carrying out the divine plan. Law boys and bankers to do their part in protecting the prophet and the government. Sweet breath of the law. Islam. For the children of one father, ask for by his care. The rest of one mother has given you self. The bonds of affection, therefore, unite you. With that brothers and peace and happiness may dwell in our Father's house. When you separated the world, remember the relation that binds you to love and unity. Prefer not a stranger for their own blood. The brothers in university assist you. Sisters in trouble, forsake her not. Those shall the fortunes of our Father contribute to the support of his whole race, and his care be continued to you all in your love to each other. Islam, Islam, Islam. This meeting is officially closed according to Act 2, our divine constitution, and love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice, go in peace, Lord. May Allah continue to bless and guide and direct you. Islam, Islam. Long live North America. Islam.
Great class, National Sister Grand Sheik. Great class. Without a skill.
All you more.
Don't get to pay your dues, more. We love you. Pay your dues. We love you. Love you, Sheik. Love you, Chairman, Sister Grand Sheik. Love all you boys. Peace and love.
Love and love from New York City.
Love when y'all talk to me.
This session is no longer being recorded.
Islam, Moorish King. It ain't too much to talk about the great God Allah. Islam, we love you. Islam, we love you. Well, all right. We'll see you Moors at the next juncture. I want to give honors to all of those who checked in. You know, Don L, welcome. Sunshine L, Charles Royale, Voodoo Priest King, Tarif Bay, Lions Den. Honors to all of you, Apollo Bay, Noble Brian, Born Dog. All is well, family. We love you. Peace, love. See you again.